Majuchan Madden in Vega de Alator, Mexico. The ravages of the party last night are in the town square, and that truck that went by was breaking down the stage and the dance floor and stuff that was set up last night for Independence Day. I had quite a wonderful, magical, and inspired, and finally very powerful, liberating experience here yesterday. It's about 4:30 in the morning. I had spent 3 months embedded in El Diamante. It's a little pueblo of 400 people, about 6 miles north of here, and kept coming into Vega because that town, beautiful and healing as it was for me, was also too small for me. I needed more. I'm a Chicagoan and a world traveler. I guess I want to claim that. 2 countries so far. 2.5 years in a camper van through the south and west of the U.S. and some other places. I went to Chicago and Cincinnati, a lot in the Appalachian Mountains. Traveling for 3 years has made me really big. Before that, I had a wake-up call, a very powerful spiritual experience that woke me up a lot. I sprang free from El Diamante, and the El Diamante very limited kind of fearful consciousness. 3 days ago when my camper van finally got fixed, and I went to the beach, Navarro Beach, for the afternoon. It's spectacular and very empty because along the Gulf Coast here there aren't tourists, and on a weekday the beach was 3 people. I saw 3 people on a beautiful day at the beach. So I'll go back there. I've got 2 weeks before I get my check and I can travel further to Jalapa. So for these 2 weeks I'm going to be back and forth between Vega and Navarro Beach. And yesterday was Independence Day. So I woke up on Independence Day, parked down that street over there, a shady spot I had found. And at 6 a.m. I was walking all over this town, seeing what it's like before the day really starts here. And as I was walking along this street right here, I went into a reverie about what it was like for me. My first job in college was downtown Chicago, running elevators in office buildings. My aunt worked for the union and got me that job. And one day at the Democratic Convention in '68, I walked off of that job into Grant Park, and I was part of the police riot at the '68 Democratic Convention. I was maced and tear gassed. I had people on either side clubbed down, and I didn't get scared, I got angry. It was part of what shaped me as a person and as a political radical. Here's where the party was last night. So I had a very sweet and inspired day around Vega, and 2/3 of the way through the day, I had the powerful and liberating experience was that my best friend from Vega, Elia, from El Diamante, laid a scary trip on me. She said, "You got to be careful tonight. There will be dangers at that party." And it was about the 8th time she had done that to me. She did it with reference to Martinez, the 60,000 person town near here that I love very much and that she fears very much. And I have tried in every way possible, gentle ways, teasing ways around the breakfast table, because I would have breakfast with the whole O'Reilly family, the extended family that ran the restaurant just down the road from where my car was parked at the mechanical shop. tease. I would play it off as a game. And then I tried to reason with her. I sent her very extended WhatsApp messages about my background and all the dangers I've been through with guns and knives and fights over the last 3 years that have formed me, and that I'm from Chicago. I'm kind of a tough guy to begin with, the city of big shoulders. But she would not see me as I am. She kept dumping her unreasonable kind of paranoid fears, and I've been bothered by such spiritual people. She's so spiritual, and her family is so spiritual, but they're all loaded up with fearfulness about the world. So it was time for a showdown, and I sent her a very long WhatsApp message about, you have to stop doing this. I noticed that it was almost going to infect me. I was starting, after reading her message, I started to see things as dangerous here, and I know they're not. So I had to tell her, I had to say, it's time for you to back off. I was free of her yoke. I was no longer in El Diamante. I was no longer relying. I was parked in their backyard. The Israeli restaurant is connected with the Diamante Hotel, and the family runs them both. And for a long time, several weeks, my car was parked in the backyard between the hotel and their house. But now I'm free. I've broken moves. It's like the kid going to college. And she is very much the mother who is not the best kind of mother. She's very loving, but if she's inspiring the kind of fears in her kids that she tried to inspire in me, that's not great mothering. And it's her notion of love. Because when I fought back finally last night, she came back with the message where she was obviously very troubled and disturbed, and she said, well, obviously you don't really want love. Some people, I guess, just don't want love, because that's the way I give love. And I wrote back and said, I don't think that's a good way to give love. When I was teaching diversity, we taught the platinum rule, which is bigger than the golden rule. You don't do to others as you would want them to do to you. You give them love in the way that feels like love to them. And I said, all your fearfulness, all your continually telling me how dangerous every place is, I live in a magical world. I have become a genuine mystic, and every encounter is magical. And you're trying to dump your fears on me. And it's not okay. I won't let you do it. You have to stop. So there was going to be a big party here last night, but it was supposed to start at 8:30, and at 8:30 there were hundreds of chairs set up out here, and about a tenth of them were full, and it looked to me like it wasn't going to happen at all. So I went back to my car, and one of the other magical things that happened yesterday, Buenos dias, senor, was that when I had to leave my spot down the road there to look for shade, I ended up at my absolute favorite spot, my first really happy place in Vega here. In the dark, you can see the outline of my big black camper van down there. I ended up exactly in my happy spot. So I fell asleep around 9:30, and at 11 I was wakened to the fireworks, really noisy. And then at 12 there was the sound of music. I don't know if the cumbia band just was late in arriving, but the dancing actually started at 12. And one of my favorite country songs is if you have the chance to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I danced. Wow, did I dance. I went into, it's the thing I do best, is to go into states of ecstasy. I went into a state of ecstasy, and there were hundreds of, maybe a couple hundred people here, and a wonderful dance, beautiful cumbia, the most wonderful Latino dance music. And I danced with everybody. The favorite dancing was with the young guys. They really enjoyed joining with me. and a couple of very old guys dancing with them. The disappointing part was that the women in this little area were afraid to engage with a strange man, so they would not really join me in the dance. Maybe for moments as a novelty, but they'd get scared then and back off. So I didn't have any really great dances with any individuals, so I danced with everybody. I wore my poor little legs out entirely. I can barely walk today. But I've been sleeping for a couple hours in my van, and I woke up just now, and I wanted to capture what it all was like. And I was very happy to celebrate Independence Day for Mexico, my first one in this country. And you know, at 4:30 in the morning, I'm not afraid of this town. No, Elia, no. I will not accept your fearfulness. I realized that it was awfully important to her to get me to join her in the fearfulness, because then she wouldn't have to look at her own fearfulness. If she can project it out there and say, well, it's a dangerous world out there, if she could get me to join in that little bit of gossip about the world, then she wouldn't have to face the fact, she wouldn't have to heal herself, her own inner fears. But I've done that. In the course of 3 years on the road, I healed my fearfulness of the dark, fearfulness of the wild animals, fearful of the MAGA people up in the Appalachian mountains, and the mountain men who turned out to be sweet boys. I healed all that. So I don't have to be afraid anymore. And spend Saturday and Sunday here in Vega. I have to minimize my trips back and forth to the beach because I'm low on gas. I just had to replace my complete engine in my car. And if my camper van is my house, I'm house poor for a couple more weeks. But Monday I'll go to the beach. I don't want to go on the weekend when there will be people there. It was so wonderful just the way it was. So, the 16th today of September, 10 days is my birthday, which is always very special to me. Cumpleaños. Bye from Mexico.